This is the entire MCU catalog. 29 movies, 9 series, 1 special, and 105 hours of content being shoved down our throats with plenty more to follow. I watched all of it, and here's what I learned. It sucked. Sometimes, but not in the way you might think. I'm not going to come out here and tell you Marvel movies suck because the writing has gone downhill or because of bad CGI or a lack of character development, just like every other YouTuber out there. The MCU sucks for a different reason. It sucks because Marvel made a bet that we all kinda hate, but one that really paid off. Why does the MCU suck? When Kevin Feige and David Maisel decided to create the first modern movie based on Marvel Comics with the film Iron Man, they did so with the intention of crafting an entire cinematic universe. Which means that from the very beginning, Marvel made a bet that we, as the audience, would be willing and excited to sit through a slew of movie titles throughout the years in order to understand everything that's happening in the most recent release. They've also doubled down on this bet in recent years with the introduction of TV series, special presentations, and shorts on Disney+. You might be thinking to yourself, I kinda like all the Marvel content we've gotten. And I agree, I love it. So why does it still suck? Well, the reason lies in the fact that this MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is formally split up into phases. But to explain all that, I'll have to go back. The year is 2006. Jon Favreau was just named as the director for Marvel's upcoming film Iron Man, and Robert Downey Jr. was named as the lead character Tony Stark. Yes, Jon Favreau, the man with very little directing experience, and Robert Downey Jr., the man with a history of heavy substance abuse and alcoholism. These two were chosen to lead the charge in the newly formed Marvel Studios' first film, Iron Man, which, again, was a pretty risky character choice, since Iron Man was hardly a household name at the time. One of the craziest things about this film, though, was the way it was scripted. It wasn't. That's right, Marvel Studios was betting their entire planned cinematic universe on a film that was going to be shot without a script. And it worked. This multi-million-dollar student film turned out to be a huge success, bringing in over $580 million worldwide. It turned out that this improvisational way of filmmaking resonated with audiences, and it ultimately changed the superhero industry into what it is today. In fact, this line, one of the most well-known lines from any superhero movie, was ad-libbed by Robert Downey Jr.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
With the resounding success of Iron Man, Marvel execs decided to push forward in crafting their Marvel Cinematic Universe with Kevin Feige at the helm. They did so by planning out 3 main phases with several more to follow in Feige's mind. The overarching story between these first 3 phases would be called the Infinity Saga, culminating in back-to-back Avengers films Infinity War and Endgame. This brings us to how the MCU kinda sucks. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the MCU and most of the films we've been given, but to understand even the first major crossover event, the Avengers, you had to watch 5 films before that. And to understand the biggest crossover we've been given in Avengers Endgame, you had to watch 21 films before that. This has led to what I call blockbuster fatigue. And no, I don't mean the way you would feel when the local Blockbuster didn't have a copy of Iron Man and you had to settle for the low-budget off-brand Metal Man. By blockbuster fatigue, I mean how many audiences feel obligated to see every new Marvel blockbuster just so they aren't missing out on something important in understanding the next one. I mean, imagine a new action movie comes out about a man on a train, but to understand it you have to watch 20 movies about this character before that one. I doubt many people would be willing to do this, so why are we willing to do it with Marvel? The answer lies in the bet Marvel made that we would want to see the full story. In essence, it lies in storytelling. Phases 1 through 3, dubbed the Infinity Saga. Probably one of the greatest overarching stories across films that the world has ever seen, with just a few pitfalls. Sure, the storytelling got lazy at times, and sometimes character stories went backwards instead of forwards, but phases 1 through 3 really captured the world's attention in a way that had never been done before. We were introduced to our favorite comic book characters on live action for the first time, then Marvel brought them together to fight against an alien invasion, continued to expand this cinematic universe, and then killed off half of everyone we had grown to love. Audiences were stunned. I was stunned. We had just sat through 19 movies, and all of that was wiped away. Then, Marvel came back at us with Avengers Endgame, 3 hours and 2 minutes of absolutely amazing filmmaking. The world was saved, Thanos was stopped, and we said goodbye to both Captain America and Iron Man in 20 minutes of some of the most heart-wrenching scenes I've ever watched in a superhero film. I thought there was no way Marvel could top this one, and I was really happy with their well-thought-out conclusion for the MCU. It was over, and Disney had no reason to make a Marvel movie ever again. Okay, they weren't done. Phases 4 through 6, dubbed the Multiverse Saga, seems to be trying to one-up the Infinity Saga and take the stakes to the next level. So rather than putting the whole universe at risk, it's the entire multiverse at risk now, which is kind of annoying. I talked about this in my video on Doctor Strange 2, but one of the traps Marvel has fallen into in recent years is the thought that every movie has to raise the stakes from the last one, which is absolutely not the case. I think most audiences appreciate a more grounded conflict. Not every movie has to be a world-ending or universe-ending threat. The only reason this works a bit is because audiences know that Marvel isn't afraid to kill off half the universe. So these world-ending threats actually have a little bit of merit. But this isn't the only issue in phases 4 through 6. In phase 1, we saw 6 movies across 4 years. But in that same amount of time in phases 4 through 6, we will have seen at least 16 movies and at least 13 TV shows. That is a huge difference, and I know Marvel is going to be losing a lot of viewers because of it. But who am I to say? It seems to be working out very well for them. In fact, other franchises have tried to make cinematic universes like Marvel, but almost all of them have failed. The Dark Universe, the DCEU, the Snyderverse, the Monsterverse, and tons more. The only franchise that's come close to the MCU is Star Wars, which is also owned by Disney and has started to adopt the same model of pumping out tons of content for their beloved cash cow. Everyone else seems to crash and burn because they failed to remember what made Marvel successful in the first place: storytelling. In the first 3 phases of the MCU, they took their time introducing us to new characters and developing them before bringing it all together for the biggest crossover of all time. That isn't easy to replicate. It takes time and care, which most franchises don't have when they try to compete with Marvel. Almost always, character introductions are rushed and not given the care they need for a worthwhile payoff later down the line, something Marvel wholeheartedly understood from the beginning. So why does the MCU suck? Because we have to watch every new movie. It's not that we don't want to watch them. I really do enjoy everything the MCU has been putting out. It's the fact that we, as the audience, have to watch every new title just to stay up to date on the MCU and to maintain our understanding of the Marvel Universe as a whole. With Marvel giving us the biggest cinematic universe ever, it's both a blessing and a curse. It sucks, but I love it. So I'd happily watch every Marvel movie again, and I probably will, just not for a while. Check out the video on your screen for some more of my content. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like this video if you haven't already. Thanks for watching Rocket Riley.